The importance of strength training for dancers. So the first point is that strength training helps with hypermobility of joints, right? So once you start training and developing strength within those hypermobile joints, you actually create a very good joint, like a lot of joint dexterity within the area. And at the same time, it also balances out between the muscle tension and your flexibility. Therefore, it helps you to actually control your range even if you're hypermobile. So aesthetically it helps you, but when you add on the strength, it helps you even more to be able to sustain the aesthetic even better. The second one is that it helps you to develop core strength, right? So in core strength, a lot of the times it's very superficial, but when you start developing deeper abdominal core strength, rotational core strength, it will help you to perform better in your jumps, in your lifts, in your rotational explosive movements as well. The third one that can help you is when you do a lot of explosive repetitive movement, there's a lot of common injuries which can happen in the foot and the ankles. So by using strength training, you're naturally going to be able to be supported better, and there's also been studies that have shown that strength training helps the foot and ankles and prevents incidence of injury or reduction of injury, right, towards the lower body. So if you train just the lower body alone, working on your quads and hamstrings, the possibility of you getting ankle injuries reduces a lot more. And it also reduces fatigue at the same time because it's constant repetitive movement up and down, up and down. So if you want to think about it that way, let's say you're doing a lot of jumps. If your jumps are so frequent, you naturally feel more fatigued if you're not trained and you cannot sustain it for long. And the last one is dancers that most dancers do experience or have imbalances in their body. So a lot of the time we have a lot of strength in the front of the body but not so much at the back, or we do not have much control of the back muscles. So by correcting those imbalances using strength training, it will naturally help you to perform better, and at the same time you're not overusing or you're not overactivating or underactivating those muscles, but it is naturally balancing each other out. Imagining the rubber band that's pulling, let's say if your front is stiffer than the back, the rubber band pulls you forward and you start rounding more. By actually balancing out the strength between the back and the front, it helps you to stand up tall and you never feel tired at all because you have balance of strength between the front and the back. For calf raises, the exercise is very relevant not only to ballet dancers but actually across the board to all dancers, right? The reason why is because when you do calf raises, it actually reduces the incidence of injury, and at the same time when you do the endurance exercise for calf raises, like repetitive movements up and down, it actually helps you to develop strength within the base of your foot to be able to control your feet. So for ballet dancers, when you're actually going into point, and the ability to control the point work as well helps you whenever you do these calf exercises. And at the same time it helps you when you're doing traveling movements across the ground. So for, let's say, even street dancers, when you're actually doing just movement across the ground and you're wearing shoes which are slightly thicker, right, you do not feel the ground as much, but because your feet has enough strength to sustain it, has enough strength to, you know, balance, your ankle does not roll as much. And when it doesn't roll as much, it helps you to transfer the energy and power even more into other movements. So like, for example, like side to side movements, your bobbing movements, any movements that require you to run, jump, do tricks in the air, those exercises will actually benefit those type of movements and techniques that you require. So therefore, calf raises itself actually gives you a lot of other benefits that can help you transfer the power across, because most of the time power comes up from your ankles. So for the curtsey lunges, we basically will start off with the reverse lunges itself first. So for the reverse lunges itself, it already requires you to have a good pelvic balance, and at the same time to keep your core upright and straight, right? Having the ability to just maintain that first without adding on any form of resistance or any rotation to the body, that will already challenge your ankle, will challenge your knee, will challenge your hip, and challenge your entire core muscles to sustain and keep you stabilized, right? But the moment Once we add on the difficulty and go into the curtsey lunges, the curtsey lunges also will train you to align your body and make sure that you're always in the center, right? Most of the time, you might see some people when they do the curtsey lunges, your knee might actually go off to the right or to the left. It might be falling in or falling out. You actually need to align it to the second toe. And when you do that, you actually realize that sometimes my hip might not be able to sustain it. And by doing this exercise, you actually build up a lot more strength in your hip as well, the hip flexor area, to be able to sustain that kind of activation. Because most of the time we spend our time sitting down, or we are just walking a lot, walking, standing. So we're not always actively strengthening the hip flexor muscle. Therefore, it is important for us to make sure that we are able to stabilize ourselves. And at the same time, when we do the lunges, it also balances out both sides of the body, the front and the back, and a little bit of the rotational, because we're doing the curtsey lunge. If you're just starting off with the reverse lunges, it'll be basically working the muscles from the front and the back, right? Not so much on the rotation. But once you throw in the curtsey, it adds on more challenge because you're also rotating a little bit. So for hip bridges, it is effective across all dance genres. Why? Because it helps with glute activation. So glute activation is one area that sometimes dancers may struggle to activate because of certain movements that they practice, right? So your movement sometimes will not allow you to activate your glutes as much, right? So by doing this exercise, it helps you to develop that area a lot more. And having glute muscles helps you, for example, let's say for ballet, it helps you with control in your turnout and ability to hold your turnout, right? And at the same time, glute itself is the biggest muscle in the body. So having the glute being strong, it helps you to stabilize and keep your body upright, and also helps you with the connection between your upper body to your lower body and vice versa, right? In whatever movements that you do. And at the same time, the hip bridges also help you with back strength. So if you are unaware of that, if you just go up and in your bridge and you hold it for long, and you start to realize that why is my back starting to feel ache, right? Then that is the reason why. Because when you hold it up there, you're actually keeping your core in, keeping your core activated. Naturally, what's going to happen to counteract that, your back needs to sustain as well to keep you in that position, in that bridge position. So naturally, the abdominals and the back have to sustain themselves in this position no matter what, right? And when there is back activation at the same time, your back, your glute are working together hand in hand to support your entire structure, right? When you control it and come down, let's say for contemporary dancers, if you actually do this exercise, it's almost similar to the movements of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? So if you're doing Jiu-Jitsu on the ground, your body is always turned in this way, right? It's always rotated inwards because you're actually protecting yourself when you do rolls on the floor, you're doing back rolls, and all those different exercises. When you do those, naturally what is happening is that you're doing a lot of contractions inwards rather than outwards, right? So by doing bridges, it helps you to balance and strengthen out the back as well, right? So when you start strengthening the back out, whenever you go into that roll, you're gonna find that yes, I have more control of my back now. So I'm not just gonna bang into the floor when I land, or if I'm gonna land wrongly, I can still sustain it properly, right? And you have enough strength to sustain that impact on the ground. Let's say if you did one move wrongly, it's gonna protect you rather than injure you, right? And at the same time, it helps with hip extensions, and you'll also have overall better back control, right? So if we look at all dancers across the board, most dancers dance anteriorly, right? So all the movements is forward, it is not backward, right? So a lot of the body is always strengthened in the front, a lot more than what is strengthened at the back, right? So when that happens, you will realize that I have the ability to control everything in front of me, but I'm not able to control things that are behind of me, right? So when you want to do any backward movements using your legs, or even just back, doing back bends and stuff, you might be causing yourself injury if you do not have enough strength to sustain the back bend properly, right? So the proper articulation of the spine is very important, and by doing hip bridges, it actually helps you with that. So that is the benefits of doing hip bridges. For the V-up or jackknife exercise, it is known as one of the tougher exercises when it comes to abdominal exercises. So when you do this exercise, let's say if you feel any pain in your lower back, you should actually regress the exercise, because this is an advanced exercise. You should regress it down to just doing either leg lifts, doing crunches, or doing spinal rolls, right? These three will actually help you train up to prevent you from experiencing pain in your lower back. Okay, second thing is that when you train for this exercise, it actually stabilizes your body a lot more. It keeps your body stable, and you'll be able to adopt a better position, because you're training various areas of your body, which actually helps you to stabilize your body, right, in a better position. And at the same time, it also helps you with articulation of your spine. So let's say when you train and you've done enough of these V-ups, jackknives, spinal rolls, leg lifts, you will find that you have better control of your spine. When you actually roll down, you are able to control it a lot better. So this is actually good for ballet dancers. It is good for contemporary dancers, let's say when they're doing floor routines. For street dancers, when they're trying to do a trick and there's a lot of rotational exercises, rotational movements included on top of like the basic movements that they're already doing, right? And also when you do these exercises, it helps you to perform better. So how does it help you perform better? This is a base in which once you do this, you can actually do exercises that require dynamic movements, such as Olympic lifts, and compound movements such as your squat, deadlift, bench press. All these different exercises actually play a part when you actually do your core strengthening. Right, when you're able to do this core strengthening better and you have developed better core strength, naturally your output is that you can actually perform better. Your movements in terms of your rotational carries, keeping your body upright when you're trying to push something above your head, or if you do a partner dance routine and you have to carry someone across, you won't get injured because of that, because now your spine is supported and it's strong enough to sustain that impact. All in all, strength training actually helps you to gain better control of your body. It does not bulk you up, which is one of the myths, and overall it will also reduce like issues such as tendonitis all the way up to muscle strains and sprains. Why? Because you have better control of your body, and that is the benefit of strength training.